What it do is your man Savalas. The SAVA checking in with Mark Clark in the Sports Parade Magazine podcast. Y'all go ahead and give him a call at 713-553-6370. Y'all hit me up at Savalas.com. He give it to you straight up with no chaser. Just how I like my yak. Keeping up with the Joneses, so I gotta get paid. Fresh car, hood, ain't got my arms straight. A couple dollars in change. Bad chick on my hip, got it. And I don't even know who they is. I never met them or hung out with their kids.
Good morning and welcome to the Sports Parade Magazine Daily Podcast. And you know that New Orleans accent is your boy, the host, the publishing editor of Sports Parade Magazine. That's right, Mark Clark, and I'm going to give it to you straight with no chaser, baby. March 18th is March Madness. This is my time of year, baby. And we're going to come at you strong, breaking down all the brackets, breaking down everything. Remember, hit me up on Twitter, at Mark's Word or at Sports Parade Mag, because I've been a tweeting fool throughout all these exciting games leading to this breakdown. But today's episode of the Sports Parade Magazine podcast, which I also may add is the fastest growing podcast in the country, is bought by a new sponsor, Low T Centers. Low T Centers of the greater Houston area. Low T Centers. If you're a man, and there's over 13 million men in this country over the ages of 40, and sometimes you just start to feel a little bit bad. You feel a little bit fatigued, lack of energy, lack of strength, low motivation, weight gain, irritability. If you suffer from any of those things, you have to go to the Low T Center. You can simply go www.lowtcenter.com and find out how can I make an appointment. How can I find out about testosterone? It could simply be a situation where you have to know your number. It takes less than 30 minutes. Most insurances are accepted. Call now to make an appointment today with the Low T Centers of Greater Houston, 877-544-5698. That's 877-544-5698. Gentlemen, it's time to restart your engines. And when you go to the Low T Center and you take that simple 30-minute blood test and they say, hey, your testosterone is a little bit low for your age. Wow. Once you get this shot, you'll improve muscle mass, boosted energy, weight loss, improved strength, increased bone density, decreased irritability, and guess what, fellas? Improved sexual desire. That's right. The Low T Centers of Greater Houston, and your insurance is accepted. Simply go to lowtcenter.com or call for an appointment, 877-544-5698. That's 877-544-5698. Low T Centers of Greater Houston. Boy, I'm just so excited, so excited. You know, I was tweeting all weekend long leading up to this March Madness and the bracketology and everything that goes along with it, that I think the best player in the country, guard Shane Larkin of the University of Miami. That's right, you usually don't associate the U with basketball, but this kid, the son of Baseball Hall of Famer Barry Larkin, is simply fantastic. And I, for one, am really, really excited about seeing him. I think this is going to be his coming out party in this NCAA regional. We'll also be broadcasting Sports Parade Magazine podcast, daily podcast, yours truly, from the site of the Western Regional in Austin, Texas. So we'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So look forward to some exciting features. We're also going to do some Sports Parade Magazine, the YouTube channel, with some of the press conferences and make you be all of a part of the Sports Parade Magazine feeling of March Madness as we're right there breaking everything down. And speaking of breaking it down, man, the entire state of Texas has not one school that qualified for the tournament. Think about that. A state the size of Texas. First time since 1977. You're talking about Rice, Houston, University of Texas, Texas Tech, Baylor, Texas A&M. You can go on, and not to have one school. Wow, that speaks volumes about where basketball collegiately is in the state of Texas. But we always like to break down the conferences before we break down each team in each region. The Big Ten got the most teams in 7 out of 12. Big East always well, what's left of the Big East, because, a lot of those Catholic League schools are going to be moving on and they'll be forming another conference. But in the last year of the Big East, 8 of the 15 teams made it. They lead the way. 8 out of 15, ahead of the Big Ten, 7 out of 12. The Big 12, 10 teams in the conference, 5 made it. Pretty good, 50-50. Atlantic Coast, 4 teams out of 12. Big surprise. 4 teams out of 12. Mountain West had 9 schools, but only 5 made it. Pac-12, 12 schools, 5 made it. And then you go down the line. Southeastern Conference, really, really down. Really, Kentucky, defending champion, will be on the outside looking in. Out of 14 teams, only 3 made it. Wow. Kentucky, national champion, but you can't keep losing 4 and 5 players every year and expect just to bounce back. The team was young, inexperienced, and a bad loss in that SEC tournament just sealed the fate of the Kentucky Wildcats. Atlantic 10, 16 teams, 5 made it. Missouri Valley, 10 teams, only 2 made it. And then you go down to Conference USA, Horizon, Western Athletic, Southwest, the SWAC, which did get Southern in to round out some of the small conferences. But this year, it's just so wide open. You really don't know what to expect, because that's why they call it March Madness. But more so this year than any other year, there's the potential for big upsets. And I'm talking about 15 seeds beating the 2 seeds, or 16, which we haven't had, beating the 1 seed. Don't rule it out this year. I've already done my bracket, the Sports Parade Magazine podcast, Sports Parade Magazine website, the all-encompassing. We're going to be running our own brackets. If you want to join, simply go hit me up on Twitter, @MarksWord or @SportsParadeMag. That's @MarksWord or @SportsParadeMag. And you can compete against me, and you can even tell me how good I am or how bad I am. Me personally, every year I go for the gusto. I go for the big upsets up and down the line, up and down the different regionals, because, hey, why just be a guy that goes with the favorites, particularly in a year like this when it's wide open? This is what happens when you have all these young stars with this one-and-done rule where they have to play 1 year collegiately to qualify for the NBA draft. And, it just leaves like kind of a devoid of talent, but not really devoid of talent, because you have people that come up that sneak out of nowhere, such as a Shane Larkin at the University of Miami, that's really come on and shown he's going to be a star on the next level. But the talent pool is definitely not diminished, but I think it's spread out so evenly. And that's what makes this March Madness in the NCAA tournament so very special. Let's start without further ado with the South. Number 1 at the top of the region, Kansas Jayhawks. You know the history, you know the pedigree. Bill Self, been tremendous. A record of 33-13 in his 14 appearances. But I tell you what, I don't know if I've seen a Kansas team particularly like this. They're led by freshman standout Ben McLemore. And usually Kansas is known for being more of a seasoned team, more of a veteran or junior, senior-laden team. But Ben McLemore has really been terrific. They really haven't had big, long losing streaks. They had 1 3-game, but other than that, they've been very steady all year long. They're 29-5. I would not rule them out of winning at all. They've got some big wins this year against Ohio State, Kansas State, and St. Louis, all tournament-bound teams. But it's going to be a tough tournament in the South, because guess what? Up next, number 2, the Georgetown Hoyas. Hoya Nation is back, baby, 25-6. 25-6. Doesn't have a great record in the tournament. They lost last year in the 3rd round to North Carolina State. John Thompson III, following in the footsteps of his father. But he's only 8-8 as a coach. That's going to be tough. They're led by Otto Porter, who was a candidate for Player of the Year, a guy that can dominate offensively. He's just a scoring machine. And at Georgetown, the Hoya team as a whole, very terrific in terms of putting up lots of points. I tell you what, if I'm looking for somebody, an exciting game to watch Georgetown. But the only problem with Georgetown, they have a great defense, no doubt about it. Great defense. They've only allowed 56 points, shooting throughout the season in terms of total points scored against them per game. But sometimes when those jumpers are not going, it can be really dicey. So, but if you want to see some exciting games, Georgetown is the team. Florida, SEC, one of the three that did make it, even though they got knocked out in an upset against Ole Miss in the SEC tournament conference final. 26-7 with one of the most underrated great coaches in Billy Donovan, a guy that you can look back 20, 30 years from now because he's just that young and he wants to stay at Florida. He's not looking to make a jump to another school, and he's not looking to go to the NBA. This is a guy that's truly, truly one of the dynamic, the future of the old school coaches that you could say like a Mike Krzyzewski, that one day you can look back and say, wow, this is a future Hall of Famer. Great, 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 great team. Florida, great coach. Florida known for the defense. The defense. They're like what Georgetown used to be under old man Thompson, a guy that gives you like just that Razorback, Arkansas Razorback type of hell for the entire length of the floor. They're going to be pressing. They're really, really, really led by two guards. Their backcourt, Mike Rosario and Scotty Winkerbean. Those are the guys that really lead this team. As they go, Florida goes. And as we saw in that SEC title conference final, sometimes when you're led by those guards, and sometimes that defense, when you start getting these guys in foul trouble, depending on what referee crew is refereeing what game, you can look for big upsets. Florida, they could make it all the way to the Final Four, or they could be upset in the very first round. Could be a huge upset. So watch out for that. Michigan, number 4 seed in the South. Really, really bounced back. That program under Coach John Bellin really, really have done tremendous things. You know, that you had the whole Fab Five 15, 16, 17 years ago. It's been a while. And then you had all of those great wins kind of tarnished by the legacy of, you know, were improper payments to boosters. Did they do wrong? But this team in Michigan has really, really bounced back under the coach. I think they have a potential. They have the potential. 26-7 throughout the season. I think they have a chance to make a run. I think they're going to be, believe it or not, even as a 4 seed, undervalued. I don't think they're going to strike a lot of fear in anybody. I don't think a lot of people are saying, well, Michigan is a team to beat. Michigan is a team that we have to watch out for. But they are tremendous, tremendous. Trey Burke, one of the standouts. Cody Zeller, another stander. Victor Alapio, hey, Big Conference Player of the Year. They're loaded. This is a good, good team. And guess what? They beat Michigan State. They beat Ohio State. And they beat Kansas State. And they didn't. It wasn't even close in terms of Ohio State. So watch out for Michigan. They could be, even at a number 4 seed, they could be a sleeper. Then when you start to get down to the bottom of the bracket, the number 5 seed in the South, Virginia Commonwealth. No longer under Coach Shaka Smart is it like, you know, the middle of the road conference, the middle of the road, the mid-majors. Virginia Commonwealth, VCU, and Shaka Smart, this is the big boys. These are the big boys of college basketball. No more of that mid-major sneaking up. No more of that, well, I don't quite know what to expect. I tell you what you're going to expect. 4-guard offense. A 4-guard offense. And like Shaka Smart likes to call it, havoc defense. Virginia Commonwealth, VCU, 26-8. Hey, they're going to put it on you with those little guys. Those 4 guards in the starting lineup. They lead the conference and the nation in steals, turnover margin. You can go on. And they're led by sophomore Briante Weber, an A-10 Defensive Player of the Year. They rank high every year, VCU, under Shaka Smart. But I tell you what, this is a team. You're talking about fun. You're going to be some old school. There's going to be a lot of people sitting back and saying, hey, this is the type of team I like when they have 4 little guys, 4 guards that are basically making their run. VCU and Shaka Smart, never, ever underestimate them. The number 6 seed, UCLA Bruins. What else can you say? I mean, it's just the history of UCLA basketball is tremendous. And Ben Holland has done a great job in keeping that tradition, keeping that great, great history of winning and going to the tournament and contending for the NCAA titles. 19-9 and 9 tournament appearance. Ben Holland, truly one of the great coaches currently coaching. But I tell you what, they're just going to be, I think they may be one and done. Unfortunately, Jordan Adams is the number 2 scorer on his team, out with a broken foot right during the tournament, right during the Pac-10 towards the end of the season, broke that foot. And I think that just did them in. I just don't see them bouncing back from that. He did scoring. He led them in terms of on the court, in terms of maturity, in terms of a level-headedness. And even though they have Shabazz Muhammad, dynamic player, Pac-12 co-freshman of the year, I think the loss of Jordan Adams will be too much for UCLA to overcome. Number 7 in the South, San Diego State, the Aztecs. And guess what? You talked about Michigan a little while ago. Guess what? That old Fab 5, Fab 4 coach, Steve Fisher, he's the coach of San Diego State. And guess what? He does the same thing he did when he was at Michigan. Just win, baby. 22-11 and 12 appearances in the tournament. This is no fluke in terms of San Diego State. This is their 4th consecutive trip to the big dance. And they're led by Jamal Franklin, who leads them in scoring, rebounding, assists, and steals. You need to say no more. Scoring, assists, rebounds, and steals in Jamal Franklin. He's a one-man show. The problem with that, he's easily taken out of the game. Once you take him out of the equation with San Diego State, I don't think so. So I don't think that they're going to be able to contend. Look for San Diego State to go down in the first round. Number 8 in the South region, North Carolina, the Tar Heels. Man, how the mighty have fallen. Roy Williams has really struggled in terms of the last few years in terms of North Carolina, keeping up that elite status. It's a number 8 seed, while for a lot of conferences, a lot of schools, it may be a blessing. This is really hard. They struggled early on, the Tar Heels early on, 0-2 in ACC play. But, they're trying to right the ship. They're trying to insert different lineups. All year long, Roy Williams has been trying to find out what's the best lineup to play, what's going to work the best to give me a chance to contend in this tournament. Now, they're a hot team. They're coming on. So you never know. Sometimes if you finally tool it right and have the right guys in, it can just start to take off. But so far, it hasn't quite worked out. But don't sleep on North Carolina, particularly when you have Roy Williams as the coach. Number 9 seed. Yes, the end of the Big East. Villanova, the Wildcats. And guess what? Jay Wright has done a tremendous job after Villanova had a few down seasons. Done a tremendous job the last few seasons in getting Villanova back on track. 20-13, not great shakes. But I tell you what, it's one of the few teams that's kind of old school, fundamentally sound in the Wildcats, in that they line up a lot for a lot of free throws. More than 28% of their points come from the free throw line. Well, that's good fundamentals. That's fundamentals in knowing how to get that ball down low, how to pick up those fouls, and then how to convert. So it also depends on, when you're talking about tournament games, and number 9 seed Villanova, how is the game going to be called? Because if they're not getting to the free throw line, look for Villanova to go down. They have some big wins. Louisville, the overall number 1, Georgetown, Marquette, in what's left of the old Big East. But I don't know if a team that's getting almost 30% of their points from the free throw line, I don't quite see them being able to advance. But who knows? Number 10 in the South, the Oklahoma Sooners. Lime Kruger, another great coach from the past. 14-13 and 13 appearances in the big dance. He's really kind of stabilized Oklahoma, another team that had some issues in terms of ex-coaches and boosters and stuff like that. But they're slumping coming into the tournament. 20-11, but they played their better ball at the beginning of the season. but they're going to be led by a freshman too, Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield, he had a broken foot earlier in the season, but he's starting to come back. He runs the point. He's the coach on the field, coach on the court for Lon Krug, and watch out for them. They could give you a little run, because sometimes when teams are slumping, sometimes they're able to turn it around once they get to the big dance. The number 11 seed in the South, the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and Tubby Smith, the guy that won a national championship with Kentucky. Tubby Smith has done great, great things. A lot of people said they didn't want Tubby up there in Minnesota. The alumni base was unhappy when he first showed up, but guess what? He's done a tremendous, tremendous job. Last appearance in the big dance was 2010. They lost to Duke in the first round. This time, I think it'll be a little bit different. Led by forward Trevor Mockleby. And he's a guy that's a 6-year senior. You very rarely see a 6-year senior. So it's a very mature team, a team that is disciplined. They started off bad early on. They went 5-11, but they've been able to turn it around. A hot team that's been getting a lot of upsets. So, you know what? Watch out for Tubby Smith and the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Number 12 in the South, the Akron Zips. Don't like the nickname, but hey, Zip it. They've been doing a pretty good job under second-year coach Kevin DeMott, who's 0-2 in his 2 appearances. They lost in 2011, the last time the Akron Zips went to Notre Dame in the second round. They entered the tournament in March. They entered March on a 19-game winning streak. Not bad. They've been very, very hot. But point guard Alex Abreu, who's been averaging 10.3 points a game and 6 assists, was suspended on drug-related charges. Not good. They lost twice before the conference tournament. They kind of steadied themselves. They have another player, Carmelo Benincourt, who's now running things after the suspension of Alex Abreu. But it remains to be seen if they're able to do anything at that number 12 seeds, where often you see a lot of upsets. They also have a 7-footer in Zeke Marshall, who was the MAC career leader in blocks and a 2-time MAC Defensive Player of the Year. So very good defensively and fundamental, but sometimes, somewhere, I think that suspension of Alex Abreu and that leadership at the point guard, particularly a guy that's leading in so many different levels on the court, I think that's going to be hard for Akron to overcome, even though the 12 spot is always a spot where you see upsets. Number 13 in the South, the South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits. Going on the Jackrabbits. This is their second straight appearance. They were 25-9 out of the Summit League champ. They lost to Baylor in the second round last year. And Coach Scott Nagy, that was his first time, so he's 0-1. So he's looking for his first win as a coach. I guess when you talk about the Jackrabbits and you talk about South Dakota State, a 13 seed, where sometimes you'll see a lot of upsets, they're led by Nate Wolters. Here's a guy that's kind of underrated, but is able to lead his team in scoring and assists, and he has a great ability to penetrate and make his players look a little bit better as teammates, including great 3-point marksmen such as guard Chad White, guard Braden Carlson, and forward Johnny Dykstra. This is a team, you're talking about shooting, and we went back to some teams that were good shooters, particularly Georgetown, and you can get hot and cold, and that can basically mean you're one and done, and you can ride the wave all the way to a national title game or the Sweet 16 at least. Another team, 13, South Dakota State. If Walters is breaking people down, surprising people, getting these guys open shots, these guards, White and Braden Carlson, open shots, look for the 13 seed. If you want to pick on your brackets, one of the big upsets, pick South Dakota State. Number 14 seed as we head down the bottom of the South is Northwestern State. They haven't been there since 2006. They were 23-8, and they were the Southland champ, so they got that automatic bid. The Demons, as they're known, the Northwestern State Demons from Louisiana, they're known for a team that puts up a lot of points. 81 points is really unheard of in NCAA basketball. They really put up a lot of points. And they're very deep. So getting in trouble in terms of the way the game's official, in terms of getting foul trouble, is really not going to affect this team because they have a lot of scores, including James Hublin, who averages 12, and assist leader Jalen West. So they can go deep. They can score a lot of points. Hey, will this be a year that we also have a 14 seed in Northwestern State that's able to pull an upset in the first round? And at the bottom of the conference, the 15 and 16, the 15 seed is Florida Gulf Coast. Florida Gulf Coast, yes, this is a tournament team, as they're known, the Eagles, and they're the Atlantic Sun champ. Atlantic Sun champion, needless to say, Coach Andy Enfield. This is his first appearance, and it's Florida Gulf Coast, his first appearance. It's gonna be a big challenge for them, a big challenge in the bright lights in the big cities, particularly when you're going up against a number 2 Georgetown. That's going to be very, very hard to overcome. It's a team that can do a few things. They have, as you would imagine, they're kind of small, but they have one big win. They beat Miami, Florida. And the U, that's a pretty good win. But don't look for the number 15 seed, the upset in this tournament, to come from Florida Gulf Coast. And rounding out the South region, as the Sports Parade magazine breaks down each part of the bracket, as we started with the South, is the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. That's right, from Bowling Green. They were 20-15 in the Sun Belt champ. 20-15 tells it all. They upset in the Sun Belt tournament. That's how they found their way here. But it doesn't matter how you got here. It's just what you're going to do once you're here, and they're here. They're led by the double-double man, George Fant. Double-double man, the main cog in Coach Ray Harper's Hilltopper offense. 16 seed, I don't think they're going to have an upset. I don't think this is where you'll get your first big upset. I don't think it'll be coming from here. But once again, I'm Mark Clark in the Sports Parade Magazine Daily Podcast, and we're breaking down March Madness. Breaking it down. And we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to break down some more of the NCAA March Regionals and March Madness.
The man with the New Orleans accent who gives it to you straight with no chaser.
What it do is your man Savalas. The SABA checking in with Mark Clark in the Sports Parade Magazine Podcast. Y'all go ahead and give him a call at 713-553-6370. Y'all hit me up at Savalas.com. He give it to you straight up with no chaser. Just how I like my yak. Keeping up with the Joneses, so I gotta get paid. Fresh car, hood, and got my arms straight. With the Joneses, a couple dollars in change. Bad chick on my hip, got it with the Joneses. And I don't even know who they is. I never met them or hung out with their kids.
That's right, baby. It's Mark Clark. Welcome back to the Sports Parade Magazine Daily Podcast. Today, Monday, March 18, March Madness. The games start Thursday, and we left off. We were breaking down each one of the conferences. And remember, if you want to follow some of the activity, what's going on with Sports Parade Magazine, you go to sportsparademagazine.com or hit me up and follow me on Twitter at Mark's Word or at Sports Parade Mag. Because, baby, I give it to you straight with no chaser, just like Savalas told you, baby. I'm always going to give it to you straight like that. And when we left off, we went over the South region. Now we're going to move on to the West, the bottom part of that region, where we'll be broadcasting live from this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll be televising. We'll be doing some Sports Parade Magazine, the YouTube channel, and I'll be tweeting directly from Austin, Texas, site of the bottom part of that West region. But let's go to the top part, Gonzaga. Some people said the University of Miami, the U, should have got a number 1 seed in the West, but they gave it to Gonzaga. 31-2. Once again, no longer a mid-major. This is a bona fide big boy in the world of college basketball. They lost last year to Ohio State in the third round, and head coach Mark Few, 14-13 in 13 appearances in the Big Dance. And like I said, Gonzaga no longer a Cinderella. Cinderella no more. That's gone. They have the talent to compete with anybody in the world of college basketball. They have a number one ranking. They're number one seeded. Great, led by center Kelly Olynyk. Kelly Olynyk, he's a difference maker. There's nobody really around the country that has the depth and the size to match up with him. So look for them to go pretty deep in this tournament. But giving them a number one seed is going to make their road to the Sweet 16 and the finals much more easy. Number 2, Ohio State. Big Ten champ. Always a rough and rugged team under Coach Thad Matta. Boy, they won a final 8 games, including the Big Ten tournament final. And guess what? Deshaun Thomas is a bad boy. He leads the Big Ten in scoring, and his running mate, Aaron Kraft, they finished second in assists. These two guys can straight out ball. They had great wins against Indiana, Michigan, Michigan State. This could be one of your teams that goes all the way in Ohio State Buckeyes. Number 3 in the West region, New Mexico, the Lobos, 29-5, Mountain West champion, led by, guess what, Indiana great, a legend, Steve Alford, who's 5-6, taking over for the New Mexico program. Done a great job. They lost to Louisville last year in the third round. They have a lot of key pieces in place, including an emerging star in the world of college basketball in Kendall Williams, an emerging star who's the league player of the year and a guy that can straight out play with anybody in the country. Sometimes it gets kind of overlooked. You know, they're in the West, the Lobos, the nickname, the Mountain West Conference, not big time, but guess what? They put it on Connecticut. Guess what? A Big East team. They beat UNLV. They beat Colorado State. They've had some great wins. And they don't have great shooting. But the offense is efficient. Efficient under Steve Alford, a guy that knows how to play the game, knows how to break it down, particularly from the guard spot. New Mexico, Lobos, at that 3 seed, they could make noise in this tournament in the West region. Number 4 in the West, Kansas State, the Wildcats. You know, always kind of like the ugly sister to the Kansas Jayhawks, but Bruce Weber, coach, has really put this team on the map, and he says we will stand back for nobody. They haven't missed a beat. They've just been rolling for the last few years, and Forden Jordan, Enrique Hernandez, and guard Will Spalding, while limited by injuries, have really bounced back. And guess what? They got healthy at the right time. And guess what? That's always a good thing to get healthy this time of the year. They beat Florida, SEC, people that could have been number 1 seed in Florida. Also, they beat Oklahoma State and Iowa State. So look for the Kansas State Wildcats to make some noise. Number 5 in the West, Wisconsin, the Badgers. They were 23-11 in the Big Ten. Last year, they made it all the way to the Sweet 16 before losing to Syracuse. But Bo Ryan, the coach, 16-11 and 11 appearances in the Big Dance, a guy that really knows how to play. It's an underrated team. You know, they've been ranked and finished 10th in the country, but still underrated. But it's the only team to beat Indiana and Michigan twice this season, not just once, twice. Wisconsin, number 5, that's going to be my pick to go in my bracket, the Sports Parade Magazine bracket, and you can get that if you tweet me at Marksword or at Sports Parade Mag. But Wisconsin's my pick to go at least to the Sweet 16. So go pick up that bracket, join that bracket, and compete against me. Number 6 seed in the West, the Arizona Wildcats. Boy, Sean Miller, the coach, 9-5 and 5 appearances in the Big Dance. Guess what? People say, well, I don't know, Arizona, they've been kind of down. They have a history of having great teams. They have a history of Final Four appearances. But I tell you what, with the UCLA being hampered by the loss of their number 2 scorer And other teams, they've really rebounded from a slow start. And this transfer that they got from Xavier, Mark Lyons has really made the difference in his Arizona Wildcat team. He can flat out score the ball, and that's something that's needed. So if they need to get a point, if they need to get one shot to win a game, Arizona Wildcats has the player that can do it. He can break people down. And they've had great wins, including beating Florida and the U. So watch out. Arizona Wildcats, number 6, could make some noise. The number 7 seed in the West, Notre Dame, fighting the Irish under Coach Mike Bray. I tell you what, they really played a very weak non-league schedule, extremely weak. And they still were ranked 12th nationally in terms of where they were in statistics offensively. Not impressed. Not impressed with the Notre Dame program. Not impressed with this Notre Dame team. Look for them to go down in the first game at that number 7 spot in the West. Number 8, another Big East. So what's left of the Big East team? Pittsburgh, the Panthers. They were 24-8 in the Big East. Haven't been in the Big Dance in a couple of years. Last time was 2011 when they lost to Butler. But Coach Jamie Dixon is a great coach. And they can straight out rebound the ball. And guess what? When you can rebound, you're pretty good. And they have a solid team. Solid team led by center Steven Adams, who made the All-Big East freshman team, and guard Trey Woodall, who's just a double-double machine. So I would look for them to sneak under the radar. They could surprise at that number 8 seed, the Pitt Panthers. Number 9 in the West, Wichita State, the Shockers, 26-8 at the Missouri Valley at-large spot. And guess what? They may shock somebody. Watch out for this Wichita State team in that number 9 spot in the West. Because guess what? They have a team made up of a bunch of junior colleges and transfers, and they're kind of inexperienced. But guess what? They're starting to put it all together. And remember, it's not how you got there, but it's what happened once you get there. And guess what? They beat VCU, and we already said VCU and Shaka Smart are no longer sneaking up on people. Wichita State is a very good team. Watch out for them. You may want to pick them at that number 9 spot in the West. Number 10, Iowa State, the Cyclones. Woo, Fred Hallberg is the coach. He's a good one, once a great player. But I tell you what, they like to score the ball, baby. They like to score 80 points a game. So you know they like to shoot. And they have a deep team. They have a 6th man of the year in Tyrus McGee, who's putting up almost 14 points and shooting 47% from three-point land. Guess what? Watch out, Iowa State and Fred Hallberg, because guess what? I'm picking that number 10 seed to go deep, and maybe they can make that run to maybe even the Elite 8. Watch out. Number 11 seed in the West, the Belmont Bruins. Something wrong with that Bruin nickname. That's for UCLA, but that's another story. 24-6 in Ohio Valley's spot. Rick Byrd is the coach. He's never won a tournament game. They did get there last year, and they got blasted by Georgetown in the first round. Ohio Valley, Belmont, I'm not looking for much of anything to come from this team. I think they're not ready for prime time. And that 11 seed, I wouldn't be fooled into picking them. Number 12 seed, the Rebels from Ole Miss. Wow. Imagine a team that wins the SEC conference and they're no better than a number 12 seed. They're hot, though. They're hot. Andy Kennedy has his team playing well. They have a great offensive scoring as a team, as a roster, as a unit. Hey, they won the games when they had to win them down the stretch to get into it. But at that number 12 seed, I could see them upsetting in the first round. So I would pick Ole Miss as another upset at that number 12 seed. Number 13, the Boise State Broncos. Haven't been since 2008, but they're back this year. Leon Rice, the coach, has them rolling. Great Most of the damage done by Boise State is done from the 3-point line. 40% for the season. 40%. Plus, they make 75% of their free throws. 75% of their free throws. But they're just very, very small. Not big. Only one player over 6'7". I don't think that's the way to go, Boise State. I would not be fooled into picking Boise State as an upset, not even for one game. Number 14 seed, LaSalle. From they won the Atlantic 10 at-large spot. Atlantic 10 at-large spot. The nicknames are the Explorers. They haven't been since 1992. So they had to pull off a real big winning streak down the stretch to impress the selection committee to be able to get that at-large spot. They basically built around defense. Not any great players, but defensive, they can lock it down. Number 13 seed, you never know if they were able to really lock down defense and hit some of those free throws and do some things. Maybe, but I don't look for the upset out this number 13 seed. Number 14, Harvard. That's right, Harvard. But they were there last year. They lost to Vanderbilt in the second round, so they did win. And guess what? They got a great coach in Tommy Amaker. Tommy Amaker, a guy from Duke, a Duke legend that may one day replace the legendary Mike Krzyzewski. They're back. They're back trying to do something. They're known for being very fundamentally sound. They like to run a lot of clock. This is not a team that's going to be putting up 80 points. I can guarantee you that. But freshman Siani Chambers is really the key figure of the team. He's the best player. But guess what? He plays a ton of minutes, 38, 39 minutes a game. That doesn't bode well for an NCAA tournament where everything is ratcheted up in terms of the level, the intensity, and I can't see relying on one player, the 14 seed. I don't think they're going to have any kind of upset. And the bottom part of the West, Iona at number 15. And a coach by the name of Tim Clues. Tim Clue. If you put an L, it's Clues, but I'm not going to mispronounce the man's name. But they are the Metro Atlantic champ, 20-13 record. No great shakes. Nothing that you would think that they're going to do anything special. They are led by a senior, Lamont Jones, and you see teams or smaller conferences, smaller schools, they tend to have the 4-year players. Lamont Jones was the conference player of the year. And, they had a few wins, Wake Forest, Georgia. I really don't count the Georgia win, but, they did a few things. But I don't think you're going to get an upset from the number 15 Iona Gales. And rounding out the West, the Southern Jaguar, the SWAC, my beloved SWAC. And guess what? They've come back. Always a great team, but now Coach Roman Banks has this team in his first appearance, has them back and up front. Southern's always been a great program, and they've had some nice wins. They beat Texas A&M, and they beat Texas Southern, of course, in the SWAC, which was favored prior to the season. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good team that he's put together. They have a nice junior in Malcolm Miller who's great at three-point shots, puts up 16, 17 points a game. Of course, smaller conference, they're going to be relying mostly on guards, including their other double-figure scorer, guard Derek Beltran. But he plays a ton of minutes because, you don't have a lot of depth when you're talking about some of these smaller schools. But it's nice to see Southern make it to the big dance. But don't look for them to upset Gonzaga. Well, 2 down, 2 to go as we break down on the Sports Parade Magazine podcast, as we break down everything in the world of college basketball and March Madness. And when we come back with the Sports Parade Magazine podcast, we're going to move on to our final 2 regions. And we're going to kick it off with the Midwest. And we're going to take a break and pay some bills. And we'll be right back at you.
What it do is your man Symbolis. The SAVA checking in with Mark Clark in the Sports Parade Magazine podcast. Y'all go ahead and give him a call at 713-553-6370. Y'all hit me up at Savalas.com. He give it to you straight up with no chaser. Just how I like my yak. Keeping up with the Joneses, so I gotta get paid. Fresh car, hood, and got my arms straight. I'm keeping up with the Joneses. A couple dollars in change. Bad chick on my hip, got it.
Welcome back to the Sports Parade Magazine Daily Podcast for Monday, March 18th, in the height of March Madness as we wait the tournament to kick off Wednesday and Thursday. And I can't wait. We'll be broadcasting live with the Sports Parade Magazine podcast from Austin, Texas, site of the bottom part of the West Regional. And it's going to be nice. We're going to have some different features. We're going to have some of the interviews, some stuff on Sports Parade Magazine, the YouTube channel, and always go to sportsparademagazine.com. But if you really want to find out what's going on with Sports Parade Magazine podcast, simply follow me on Twitter, at MarksWord or at Sports Parade Mag. I'm not afraid to engage people. I'm not afraid to engage you. Whatever's on your mind, whether it's praise, whether it's criticism, whatever it is, engage me. At MarksWord or at Sports Parade Mag. And we left off, we were breaking down the different reasons. Let's take it off with the East. The third of the final four reasons. Led by the number one seed, the Indiana Hoosiers. You know, head coach Tom Crane. You know the pedigree. And guess what? They have Victor Oladipo. That's right. This boy with this New Orleans accent pronounced it right. Victor Oladipo. Guess what? He was a co-player of the year candidate in the Big Ten. And guess what? As a guy, he did this in the tournament, in the Big Ten tournament, this reverse 360 dunk, and it's saying this could be the next Jordan. I don't think so. But, hey, whatever floats your boat. They're always looking for the next Jordan. I've heard it over and over. It started when Harold Miner was at USC. He was going to be the baby Jordan. He was going to be the next Jordan. And we know how his career, or lack of that, turned out in the NBA. But with that said, he is a very good college player. Very, very good. I look for an upset. I think Indiana could go down. Could be the year that a number 16 breaks them down and wins. But only time will tell. Go on Twitter, at MarksWord or at Sports Parade Mag. Boom. Check out the Sports Parade Magazine. You can get the bracket and compete against me as well as some of the listeners of the Sports Parade Magazine podcast. As I said, one of the fastest growing podcasts in the country with over 30,000 listeners and counting. Number 2 in the East, the Miami, Florida Hurricanes. I bragged on them, y'all. I've tweeted on them, y'all. I've Facebooked on them. And Shane Larkin, the sophomore guard, who's going to be a star. If you don't know that name, you better get to know it. Shane Larkin, the son of baseball Hall of Famer Barry Larkin, can straight up play. He's holding his game back in college. A kid that could score this ball at will, but he likes to get everyone involved, and he'll back off a lot of times. This is my team. This is why I'm picking to win it all. I'm picking them to go everywhere. A year ago, they were just floundering. They didn't make the tournament. This year, nobody really expected a lot. But guess what? It's a veteran team led by the sophomore guard, Shane Larkin. I could see them going deep. They beat Duke. They beat Michigan State. They beat North Carolina State. It's a very good team. My pick to win it all. Number 3 in the East, the Marquette Golden Eagles. Once again, that Big East Conference, or what's going to be left of the final year of the Big East. Coach Buzz Williams has the Golden Eagles prime. But guess what? They got a fatal flaw, y'all. They only shoot 29% from the three-point line. Can't shoot threes, not very good offensively. It's going to be tough. They rely on the interior, old school way of playing. Junior forward Devontae Gardner and his 11 points a game, and he's the second leading rebounder. He comes off the bench. If you want an upset of a number 3 seed, take Marquette down, y'all. Number 4 in the East, the Syracuse Orangemen. Once again, that Big East. And the legendary, the Hall of Famer, Jim Boeheim. I tell you what, they've lost 4 or 5 entering the tournament, and, they blew a big 16-point second-half lead to number 1 overall seed Louisville. But it's still a team to be reckoned with. And if they're able to right the ship, they have what it takes, particularly defensive-wise, in steals and block shots and holding teams to field goal percentage, they can make a run. But it all depends if they're able to turn it around, because they've been on the slide, the Orangemen have. Number 5 in the East, the UNLV Running Rebels. Coach Dave Rice is 0-1 in his only appearance in the Big Dance. Last year they lost to Colorado in the second round. This is their 4th consecutive appearance. Very steady team, a team that doesn't have a lot of standouts, but one in particular, newcomer, freshman Anthony Bennett, a guy that doesn't waste time. He goes forward, he's very aggressive, and he's able to score the ball, and for a freshman, a very good defender. So if you want an upset at number 5 seed, watch out for UNLV. Number 6, the Butler Bulldogs, 6th seed in the East. It's a very team that Brad Stevens, the coach, has assembled that really is unselfish. There's no stars. He has over 5 starters that average right under 10 points a game. All of them about 9.8, 9.7, something like that. That's pretty good. They played a very, very tough non-conference schedule that kind of got them to this point against the likes of North Carolina, Indiana, and Gonzaga. So if you're looking for a steady team, Butler, you could do a lot worse. At 26-8, 8-10, Atlanta 10 at large, I can see Butler at that 6th seed pulling off a few upsets, even though the 6th seed is not really where you consider the upset to come from. Number 7 seed in the East, Illinois, the Fighting Illini, Big Ten. John Gross, the coach, has them primed. They got off to a rocky start in conference play at 2-7. People were calling for his head. They said, we're not happy, because Illinois, also the Fighting Illini, have a history of being great. But they're a team that likes to score the ball. They put up more 3-point shots than anybody in the country. And if they could just get the field goal percentage a little bit better, just a little bit better, because to be tied for 242nd in 3-point percentage, that's not very good. But I'll tell you what, number 7 Illinois, no, I don't think so. I don't think you're going to be seeing, they could be one and done. Number 8 seed in the East, North Carolina State, the Wolfpack. And guess what? I just watched that 30 for 30 with the legendary Jim Valvano. Always have fond memories of North Carolina State and the Wolfpack. Great coach in Mark Gottfried, a guy that's very steady, that knows what he's doing. But his team has been inconsistent. They're up, they're down. They struggle against the better teams. They have talent, but when you're struggling against better teams, sometimes, as someone once said, you are what you are. And if you're struggling against good teams, even though you have the talent, that's indicative of a team that doesn't get up for the opponent. I mean, they do get up for the opponent. They get up for a lower level opponents, but when somebody stands up to them like the proverbial bully, they tend to back down. Great talent in Lorenzo Brown and C.J. Leslie and Richard Howe, and people say they could be dangerous. I don't see it. Unless some kind of way they reverse their history, their track, what they've shown this year. Number 8 seed, NC State and the Wolfpack are going down. Number 9 in the East, the Temple Owls, 23-9, number 8-10 at large appearance. Coach Fran Dunphy done a great job with him. He's able to kind of mix and match his players. They had the 8-10 Player of the Year and Khalif Wyatt. But the defense has just been sorely lacking. When you're allowing your opponents 6 or 7% points per game and letting them shoot 43%, that's near the A10, let alone this tournament field in terms of percentage holding teams. So if you're not going to be outscoring people and you're letting people give up a lot of points, doesn't make a whole lot of difference what you're going to be faced or what seed you are. So at number 9, Temple, I see them being one and done. Number 10 seed in the East, Colorado Buffaloes. That's right, the Colorado Buffaloes, 21-11, Pac-12 at large. Pac-12's kind of down this year. Most of the big wins have come from Pac-12 teams, but I don't see them doing much. They are a very good defensive team, and they have the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year in Andre Robinson. And he missed the final 2 games because he had a little virus. But I don't see that 10 seed as being an upset pick. Number 11 in the East, Bucknell, the Bison. Yes, 28-5. Terrific record as the Patriot League champ. Head coach Dave Paulson has really been a guy that's been able to recruit and put Bucknell on the map. And they have a veteran team headlined by Mike Muscala, the school's career leader in scoring. That's a really senior Latin team. Very sound fundamental, play great defense. Number 11. Let's do it. Upset. I think they'll be an upset pick at that number 11 seed, Bucknell. Number 13 in the East, the Montana Grizzlies of the Big Sky, 25-6. They last won the tournament last year, and they lost in the second round to Wisconsin. Wayne Tinkle, that's right, baby. Wayne Tinkle is the head coach, and he's never won a tournament game. But could this be the spot of an upset? He's done it, made this tournament, even missing senior leader Will Cherry with a foot injury over extended periods throughout the year. If they get this guy healthy, they could really make a run at that 13 seed. But they've also been without the top scorer, Matthias Ward, who had foot surgery for nearly a month. And then, of course, you had the MVP of the Big Sky, Kareem Jamal. I tell you what, if you're able to get these 3 guys together on the court at the same time, number 13 is going to make a run, and they're going to upset some people and upset some brackets. So keep the Montana Grizzlies in your thoughts. Number 14 as we head down the bottom of the East bracket, the Davidson Wildcats, the Southern League champ at 26-7, Bob McKillop. You know, he's done some pretty good things with Davidson, trying to be on the come up as a mid-major. Very balanced. Six different players have led the team in scoring at any particular time throughout the season. And then they have the 2-time Conference Player of the Year in Jay Coyne, and a team that shoots very well from the free throw line, in particular the nation's top free throw shooter in Nick Cochran. So this is once again at that number 14, the Davidson Wildcats, a game. It depends on the floor of the game. If the game is more of a slow-down game, if the referees are calling fouls, you could see Davidson at that 14, baby, at that 14, pull off the upset. And at the 15 in the East, the Pacific Tigers, the Big West champ, the Pacific Tigers, 22-12. Coach Bob Thompson has them on the uprise, on the uptick as a mid-major, led by a team that goes double in Lorenzo McLeod, a guy that's going to give you the 10-10, the 12-12, the 13-13, and a team that can put up some three-point shots. Can they do it? Can you get a 15 seed that wins the game, Pacific Tigers? It's going to be dicey. But it's possible that you could have Pacific's name written in advancing past the first tournament game. And rounding out the East region, James Madison, the number 16 James Madison. The Dukes, the James Madison Dukes of the Colonial Athletic Team, a team that has 4 5-year seniors. It don't get more experience than that, y'all. 4 5-year seniors, including Devon Moore, who owns a school record for assists. Not a lot of size, not a lot of terrific athletic ability, but guess what, baby? Guess what? Whoa, let me tell you something. Let me tell you a little something. If you can do that, mark my word, if you can do that, James Madison can do that, and they have the most senior Latin team in the tournament. 16, that could be your first one that you've seen. 16 could pull it off, baby. They could pull it off. Well, we're going to move on. We're going to take another break. The last break of today's Sports Parade Magazine podcast. And guess what? When we come back, we're going to break it down, baby. The last region of March Madness on the Sports Parade Magazine podcast, the Midwest. So we're going to take a break. We're going to pay some bills. When we come back, we'll break down the last region, the last bracket of the NCAA March Madness.
Give him a call. 713-553-6370. Email him, Mark Clark at sportsparademagazine.com, or follow him on Twitter at MarkWord or at SportsParadeMag. Or listen via any phone. Simply dial 619-550-0516 and at the prompt number 4. There's no better way to advertise or hit your target market than with the Sports Parade Magazine Daily Podcast.
What it do is your man Symbolis. The SAVA checking in with Mark Clark in the Sports Parade Magazine Podcast. Y'all go ahead and give him a call at 713-553-6370. Y'all hit me up at Symbolis.com. He give it to you straight up with no chaser. Just how I like my yak. Keeping up with the Joneses, so I gotta get paid. Fresh car, hood, and got my arms straight. I'm keeping up with the Joneses. A couple dollars in change. Bad chick on my head, got it made. I don't even know who they is. I never met them.
Well, I don't know who they is, but I know one thing. This is Mark Clark in the Sports Parade Magazine Podcast, baby. And that's right, I give it to you straight with no chaser. And follow me on Twitter, at Mark's Word or at Sports Parade Mag. And we're going to break down, we have our own bracket. If you want to join the Sports Parade Magazine bracket for March Madness, simply go to follow me on Twitter, at Mark's Word or at Sports Parade Mag. Or simply go to sportsparademagazine.com. And we're rounding it up with March Madness and breaking down each bracket, picking some winners and some losers, some upsets. And guess what? We're back to Louisville. Number 1 overall in the Midwest, baby. Rick Pitino. The legendary Rick Pitino. Man, let me tell you something. Louisville is such a hot pick. Ex-President Bill Clinton abandoned his school. His Georgetown Hoyas was in there dapping people up and taking pictures in the locker room and tweeting with those Louisville Cardinals. They are, without a doubt, the glamour pick, the preseason national favorite, and it hasn't stopped as the number 1 overall pick. I mean, not much has gone wrong for them. Not much has gone wrong, but you never know. Never know where an upset is going to come. They're well positioned, though. If they're going to make a run, they have maybe one of the toughest reasons to have to go against Duke and Michigan State and St. Louis. But I tell you what, whenever you have a Rick Pitino coach team, and unlike past Louisville teams, I think this Louisville team has the discipline and the leadership that could make that run all the way to the Final Four. But time will tell. Number 2 seed in the region, Duke, the Duke Blue Devils, and once again another legend, Mike Krzyzewski. Arguably, maybe the greatest coach, one of the top 5 in college basketball history. Let's face it, there's not much you can say wrong about the Duke Blue Devils. They've just done everything. They've beat VCU. They beat Louisville. They beat Ohio State. So number 2, don't get fooled by that number 2 seed. They got hurt. They got hurt towards the mid part and the latter part of the season. In particular, forward Ryan Kelly, who missed 13 games in January and February. But him coming back gave them a lot of confidence. Watch out. Get hot. Duke could be, and Mike Krzyzewski could be national champions, even though Louisville is the glamour pick in that Midwest region. Number 3, Michigan State. Michigan State Spartans. Man, this is like a who's who of coaching in this region. Tom Izzo. You're talking about 3 of the legendary coaches right at the top of this region. Tom Izzo. Never, ever count out this team. Never count them out, including the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, Gary Harris, who, despite battling shoulder and back injuries, really achieved on a high level, particularly for a freshman. But I tell you what, he did have another, I'm talking about Gary Harris, their freshman, Big Ten Freshman of the Year. He got hurt again in the Big Ten tournament Saturday. So it remains to be seen. I think if he's able to be healthy and that shoulder's okay, the Spartans can make a run. If he's in anywhere hindered or not the same player, guess what? Michigan State could be a prime upset at that number 3 seed. So watch out on the health of Gary Harris heading into that first tournament game. That's going to be the key of whether you want to put Michigan State advancing or you want to put that as a big upset on the opening round of the tournament. And number 4 seed in the West, the St. Louis Billikens, a team from the Atlantic 10 champ. You know, they haven't got a lot of the Jim Cruz, the coach, hasn't got a lot of the respect that I guess the team and the school would want. But it's a very, very, very balanced team. Over 5 players averaging 9 points a game. That's very hard, particularly when you're talking about a senior laden team with Cody Ellis averaging 10 points a game, the A-10 6-man of the year. Not too often you're able to get these kids to be able to sacrifice their games. A lot of times these kids are recruited and they want to be the big guy, they want to be the big star. No one just wants to score 9 or 10 points a game. But by getting 5 and 6 players to score and no one being the star, no one being the guy that gets all the hype, it makes it very hard to defend, it makes it very hard to game plan, and it could lead to a deep, deep run. Don't be surprised if head coach Jim Cruz and the St. Louis Billikens are in that Sweet 16 and Elite 8. I would not be surprised, particularly since they beat Butler, they beat New Mexico, and they beat VCU. St. Louis Billikens are number 4. Watch out for them. Number 5, the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Travis Ford has these boys rolling. Big 12 at large spot. Very, very good team. Marcus Smart led the team, led the conference in steals. He broke all kind of records. I tell you what, 6-man field, Forte, 10 points a game, instant score, 90% free throw shooter. Oklahoma State is a dangerous team. This which makes the road that Louisville has to travel going up against Duke, Michigan State, St. Louis, and now Oklahoma State at number 5. At number 5, watch out. Number 6, Memphis Tigers. Oh, what can we say about the Memphis Tigers? They've bounced back. They've bounced back over the last few years. They were unbeaten in Conference USA play. I don't know if that says a lot, but I'll tell you what, Coach Josh Pastner has done a great, great job. Not a lot of big wins. Not a lot that I think that could boast. You know, they have a nice junior in Chris Crawford, who's a 6-man, and they've improved things. Guard Joe Jackson is pretty good at scoring and assists and three-point shooting. But I think number 6 seed Memphis picked that as an upset. I think they're going down after 1. I think they're going to be 1 and done. Memphis and the number 6 seed in the Midwest. Excuse me. Number 7, the Creighton Blue Jays. 7th seed out of the Missouri Valley, where they were the conference champion. Greg McDermott's done a good job of putting Creighton on the map, of building a nice team. As a National Player of the Year candidate even, and Doug McDermott. who happens to be, if you notice the name, his son. So it's always good to have your son. And when you have your best player and it's your son, you know he's going to be fundamentally sound. So he knows how to run that team, knows how to win. Not a lot of big wins this year, but who knows? At the number 7 seed, Creighton could sneak in and get a couple of upsets. Number 8 seed in the Midwest, Colorado State. Colorado State Rams. The Rams, not a team that's known for basketball, but a team that's senior laden. Five returning seniors. We talked about this. When you have these small conferences, these small teams, mid-majors, that have these deep senior teams where they may not have a bench, they may not have the height, they may not have the scoring prowess, but they're very, very steady. Colorado State at that number 8 seed could make some inroads. Number 9, the Missouri Tigers. Southeastern at large. Yes, in their first year in the SEC, they were able to pull it off and make it. Coach Frank Haight. There's a number of upperclassmen that returned when entering the season, so it's not a complete shock. Not a complete shock, but not a lot of talent on this team. Phil Presley is great, the guard from the Missouri Tigers, but I really don't see them making a deep run. I know they beat Florida and they beat VCU, but I just don't see Missouri at that number 9 seed making any inroads. Number 10 in the Midwest, the Cincinnati Bearcats. Cincinnati Bearcats that lost last year in the Sweet 16 to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Head coach Mike Cronin has really put down a team that's fundamentally sound, that's built around what? Defense and rebounding. Defense, rebounding, block shots. Old school throwback, but a team not good free throw. When you're shooting as a team 64% from the free throw line, you're in trouble. You're in big, big trouble. And you have one of the worst field goal percentages, worse than 60 other teams, including many, many, many March Madness teams. Number 10, Cincinnati. Don't look for any upsets to come from that position. The number 11 seed in the Midwest, Middle Tennessee, the Blue Raiders. Now that's a name for a basketball team, led by Coach Kermit Davis. Kermit Davis. No, not Kermit Ruffins, Kermit Davis. They have a respectable RPI. And, once again, no big wins, against Southeastern teams. I'm not going to pick that, Middle Tennessee, these smaller conferences, these smaller universities, they're known more for having depth. They have a lot of juniors and seniors. They can spread the ball around, but I don't see it at the number 11 seed there being some kind of upset. Number 12, the Oregon Ducks of the Pac-10, and we talked about the Pac-10 being down. Dana Altman, 2-8. A lot of people are picking this as a sweetheart team, a team that could go deep, because for the first time since 2007, they have a point guard, Dominic Artis, who's really, really great. Really, really great after being injured. He's among the Pac-12's top 20 scorers. But, I don't see it. I just don't see it on this team. Yes, they beat UCLA and Arizona, but I think the Pac-10 is down. I don't see the number 12 seed as being upset. Some people do. You make the call. Like I said, hit me up on Twitter, at MarksWord or at Sports Parade Mag. Join the Sports Parade Magazine bracket, and then you'll be able to pick your own. Number 13 in the Midwest, New Mexico State, the Aggies, the Western Athletic champ, Marvin Menzies, great, great, great coach. Once again, senior Latin team. He kind of suffered after his starting forward, Tyrone Watson, had to be suspended from an arrest, and then he suffered an ankle injury. It all depends if that kid is able to play or not play as a press time. We don't know. If he's able to play, I pick New Mexico State as an upset special at that 13 seed. At that 13 seed. But if Tyrone Watson, the senior, is not playing, the forward, if he's not playing, forget about it. Forget about it. It's done. Get out of here. Number 14 heading down, rounding up the Midwest and the bracketology of March Madness is the Valparaiso Crusaders. Bryce Drew, that's right, Bryce Drew. You know that name. You know that name, particularly New Orleans people. You know that name. The Valparaiso. Bryce has done a great job. You know, he was the school's career lead in assists and, you know, author of one of the most famous shots ever in the 1998 tournament that made everybody aware of Valparaiso. You know, I don't think they're going to go anywhere, though. I really don't. But it's nice to see them in, from the Horizon League champs, to see them in the big dance at number 14. They have a foreign player and also imported Ryan Brokoff, who basically leads in scoring and rebounding. Good player, above average player. But number 14, I don't think they're going anywhere, y'all. Number 15, the Albany, the Great Danes. Well, that's a kind of name for you. Albany, the Great Danes, the Dogs. Who let the dogs out? Will Brown has the American East champ. Man, what kind of conference is that? Sounds like baseball. American League champs. The American East champ. Well, excuse me, Albany Great Danes. Get ready for being one and done, baby. It's not happening. And when your best win is against Stony Brook, are you kidding me? Come on, man. What is this? Bed Bath and Beyond? Number 16, riding out of the Midwest region. Riding out is Liberty, the Flames from Lynchburg, Virginia. I think there was something that's very tasty also from Lynchburg, Virginia. Maybe y'all can tweet and tell me about it. I can't quite remember. Because, you know, I'll give it to you straight with no chasing. I need a little bit of that from Lynchburg, Virginia right about now. But they basically rolled the Big South tournament because at 15-20, a losing record does not look good. No upset there. No Liberty. You're going to be packed up and one and done and back to Lynchburg, baby, where it's been a pleasure bringing you the Sports Parade Magazine podcast. I've had a blast. Remember, I'm Mark Clark, the guy with the New Orleans accent, your boy that gives it to you straight with no chase. We want you to go to the website, sportsparademagazine.com. Download some of the great articles, listen to some of the great interviews, all the things we have on the website, and get ready. Mark Clark, Sports Parade Magazine podcast, will be at the bottom part of the West Regional in Austin, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Bring you some of the action from there, doing some Sports Parade Magazine, the YouTube channel, giving you some of the daily hits, and as always, tweeting, hit me up, at Mark's Word or at Sports Parade Mag. And remember, Mark Clark gives it to you straight with no chaser, baby. Love listening to you. Glad you were able to join the show. And remember, I give it to you straight with no chaser, and we'll be right back at you tomorrow, baby.
Get ready, America. Up next is the fastest growing podcast in the nation, the Sports Parade Magazine podcast, heard daily by tens of thousands, hosted by the one and only Mark Clark, the man with the New Orleans accent who gives it to you straight with no chaser. Damn, I love that Mark Clark. Give him a call, 713-553-6370. Email him, markclark@sportsparademagazine.com, or follow him on Twitter at Mark's Word or at SportsParadeMag. Or listen via any phone. Simply dial 619-550-0516 and at the prompt number 4. There's no better way to advertise or hit your target market than with the Sports Parade Magazine Daily Podcast.